Hey guys, thanks so much for sending in your questions for this video. I have a ton to go through, including 3 videos and 1 audio file that were sent in, so I hope you enjoy this. The first question is from Lee Tomb Raider. What is your favorite book and page from the Tomb Raider art book? So my favorite book is the first one from all the classic Tomb Raiders, and my favorite page would probably be 116 or 169. It's hard to pick. I love the motorcycle one. It embodies everything that Tomb Raider represents, and she looks badass and ready to go on an adventure. And the other page is from Angel of Darkness, and this obviously has really great memories because it was the last Tomb Raider game that Core Design made. So it would have to be between one of those two, and I know you've been waiting a long time for me to answer, so I appreciate your patience. The next question is from Afsel. What was the last Tomb Raider level editor game you played, and also who's your favorite TRLE builder? It's actually been a few years since I've played any Tomb Raider level editor games, but I think the last one I played was Ancient Artifact by Max, and I have screenshots on my site from that level. It was absolutely amazing. And as far as my favorite builder, it would probably be George McIver. He has done so many amazing levels. He's an excellent level builder. And anybody who worked on Lara at the movies and Coyote Creek, those were fantastic games, and if you haven't tried them out, you definitely should. Okay, next question is from Jake. Since you sold your entire collection, if you could choose one item on Earth, not just in your collection, to have back, what would you choose? This is a tough question. I think it would have to be between either set from my Tomb Raider playing cards or the beach towel. The beach towel is actually really hard to track down, and I remember when I finally got it. So I think I would pick the beach towel the most. And the next question is from CJ. What would you do if Tomb Raider never existed, and what do you think of the new Tomb Raider? And this was also asked by Anthony Jr. Spears. So if Tomb Raider never existed, I probably wouldn't have a website, and I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I would still be playing games like I do now, Left 4 Dead, Killing Floor, Dead Island, Hitman, all of those. But I probably wouldn't have a website, so it's kind of weird to think about. And what do I think of the new Tomb Raider? In a nutshell, as a video game, I think it was a lot of fun. It was a great game. But as a Tomb Raider game, it was disappointing for me, just because it lacked the key elements of what really makes a great Tomb Raider. And I'm going to post a link below the video to my full review on my forums so you can read through that. And the next question is from Dark Servant of Heaven. Which of the weapons, excluding the pistols, the shotgun, and the Uzis, is your favorite? What weapons would you add to a Tomb Raider game? And which game do you think had the best weapons? Which of the deaths in Tomb Raider do you think are the scariest or most entertaining? Excluding the weapons you mentioned, I'd probably pick between the Desert Eagle or HK. I love the Desert Eagle because you got one-shot kills with that, which was really handy when there were so many guards and things going on. And the HK because it had 3 different modes, which were really neat. You could switch between any of the ones that you wanted, depending on what you were shooting at. And I would probably want to add laser sight to the HK. I think that would be pretty cool, even if it was just for part of a level or one level. Just a little bit of that would be really awesome. And Tomb Raider 3, I think, had the best weapons just because of the variety. There were so many to choose from. You could decide how you wanted to take down a boss or other baddies. So I would pick Tomb Raider 3 for that one. And which of the deaths are the scariest or most entertaining? I think the scariest ones would be moving spike walls or moving spike ceilings, especially if you're just playing the games for the first time. You walk into a new area and you hear something weird, you look up and there's this gigantic spike wall coming down at you, and you have no idea how to get out, if you can stop it. So I think those are always the scariest because they kind of creep up on you. And the most entertaining would be the subway in Tomb Raider 3 Aldwych Station, just because the first time I played it scared the crap out of me, so that would probably be the most entertaining. The next 2 questions are also from Dark Servant of Heaven. Which do you think is the worst way to die in a Tomb Raider game? Eaten by a dinosaur, falling on spikes, or trapped in the quicksand? What kind of historical or legendary artifact would you want to see Lara go after of your choice? So out of those 3 deaths, the worst one for me would be falling on spikes. She makes the worst noise when it happens and it just makes you cringe. So out of those 3, that one is definitely the top of my list. And as far as what artifact I'd like her to go after, preferably one that we know nothing about. I'd like to see her explore a lost or hidden civilization, and then it makes us feel like we're the first ones there, which is really cool. Next question is from Petar, and he sent in a video.
Hello there, Katie. Before the questions, I want to tell you that you have great videos, your site is awesome, and you're doing the great job with your stories and everything, and I want you to continue that way. And now the questions, but I won't be asking the questions. I actually asked Lara to ask them instead of me because she has the prettiest voice, and I think you'll be able to understand her better. So please, Lara, ask the questions for me.
Alright, Petar. Hello, Katie. I love you and I think you are great. Anyway, here are the questions. Now that Tomb Raider 2013 is out, what position did it take in your Tomb Raider game top list? Of which Tomb Raider game would you like to see a remake? What do you think about that relationship between Mia and Sam? Do you think she should be in next Tomb Raider game? Which Tomb Raider level is scariest, the hardest, the most interesting one and the most boring one? What do you think? How should Tomb Raider The Angel of Darkness continue? What glitch from Tomb Raider games is your favorite one? Which quote of mine is your favorite? Which Tomb Raider had the best soundtrack, and why? And also which sound/theme is your favorite? And the last one is, what do you think about the picture Petar made? I think it's pretty cool. And you look great in my body. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, Winston is somewhere around me, and he is farting a lot. Now I have to punish him, and lock him in the freezer. Good luck with everything, Katie, and bye.
Okay, that is the funniest video I think anybody has ever sent me. When I first got it, I died. I laughed so hard, and I had to show my family, and they died too. It's really creative, and I love it. Please bear with me. I had to write your questions down because it's going to be hard to remember all of them. But your first question about what position did Tomb Raider take in overall in my top list? First of all of the classics I think will always be my top 6. But out of Crystal's games, I would rank it 2 out of 3. I actually liked Underworld better than the reboot, but not as much as Legend, so I would rate it 2 out of 3 for Crystal's games. And which Tomb Raider game would I like to see a remake of? I would pick Tomb Raider 3 because it's my favorite game. I would love to see it with today's graphics, but only if they could match the gameplay to the same quality as it had originally. And as far as the relationship between you and Sam, I don't actually agree with it. Lara's always been single, and they had a Lara Croft Bible at one time that said she would always remain single, and I think they should keep true to that. I have no problem with gay couples, but Lara has never been like that, so I think they need to stay true to who Lara Croft was when she was first created. And should she be in the next Tomb Raider game? I didn't like Sam. I thought she was kind of flat as a character, and she didn't really bring much to the game, so I personally don't want to see her back. Now, as far as which level is the scariest, hardest, most interesting, and most boring, these were really tough. The scariest, I picked Gallows Tree in Tomb Raider 5. It was creepy, it had a dark atmosphere, the music was creepy, the changelings, rotting corpses, all of that combined just made a really creepy feeling. So that would be my scariest one. The hardest is between 2, Malibu Gorge in Tomb Raider 3, or maybe Boaz Returns. Okay, maybe 3. Or Red Alert in Tomb Raider 5 with the shooting ranges. The kayak is really hard to avoid all of the traps. Boaz, of course, everybody knows how hard that one was to put down. And the shooting ranges in Red Alert, the first time seemed like they were impossible to beat. So the hardest, I can only pick 3. I'm sorry, I can't pick 1. The most interesting, this was the hardest for me to pick, and I could not pick 1. I would have to say any levels from Tomb Raider 4 I found the most interesting. It felt like we were really there exploring for the first time, and Lara was first one through those tombs since the Egyptians, so anything from Tomb Raider 4 would be most interesting. Most boring, I've already picked from all the classics, so to be fair, I'll pick from the classics again. I picked Tomb Raider 1 Cistern. I just found the level to be kind of bland. There wasn't really anything exciting going on other than finding keys and shooting rats and crocodiles. You found a key, and then you'd go through all 6 or 7, however many doors there were, trying them out. And the music also wasn't interesting, and just overall the level wasn't very memorable for me. So I would pick that one as my most boring. And where are we? Okay, next question. How should the Angel of Darkness continue? I get asked this a lot, and I really don't know. I would have to see the research notes, and I'd want to read the story that they wrote for the Angel of Darkness. They were working on a trilogy, and I have no doubt the next 2 stories would be just as great as the first one. But overall, it was my favorite storyline, so I think they would have done a great job had they been able to continue. And the glitch that was my favorite from all the Tomb Raider games, I haven't actually played around with a lot of the glitches, but the first one that comes to mind would be the corner bug for Tomb Raider 3's mansion. That one was a lot of fun. And this is more of a bug, I guess, but sometimes in Angel of Darkness, the camera would go inside of Lara's head, and you'd see these 2 gigantic eyeballs, which was kind of funny, so that would probably be my favorite. And my favorite quote is from Tomb Raider 4 when she says, "I make my own luck." And next question, which Tomb Raider game had the best soundtrack and why, and which theme is my favorite? And this was also asked by I Kinda Forgot. I would have to go with Angel of Darkness. It fit the game perfectly. It didn't sound like it was just stuck on top. It fit with the levels, and it flowed really well. And it was also really high quality. They had a composer who had an orchestra play, and that is just really unheard of in the gaming world. It's such a rare treat to have. So that would be my absolute favorite. And as far as my favorite theme, I would pick Tomb Raider 3. I really love that theme song. And your last question, what do I think of the picture that you made? I think it is hilarious, and I love it. And I really appreciate you taking your time to do up your video for me and send in your questions. Thank you so much. And the next question is from Slimemaster12. Which of the games had the best outfits? Which of the outfits Lara Croft wore would you like to wear the most? Do you cosplay as Lara? And if you look at cosplay of Lara, who do you think is the best? First of all, I've killed my screensaver. I'm sorry for the bubbles during my last answer. So which of the games had the best outfits? I'd pick between Tomb Raider 3 or Tomb Raider 5. I think they had a really great variety, and she had new outfits every section, which I thought was really great. And out of the outfits that she wore, which one would I like to wear the most? I would pick between the cat suit or maybe just her classic tank top and shorts. I love the cat suit, but I have no idea where I would wear that. Probably Halloween. And her classic outfit, of course, you can wear anywhere. I don't cosplay as Lara. The only time I have was a long time ago for Halloween. I dressed up a couple of times, and for my fan film that I had to make for school. And I don't look at a lot of cosplaying of Lara, but the ones I've seen, the people have done a really great job, and they all have their own spin on it. And the next questions are also from Slimemaster12. What's your favorite weapon to use in the games? Would it be funny if Lara Croft got slimed when she killed a monster, like in those cheesy sci-fi movies? Would you pie yourself if you get over 3,000 subscribers? My favorite weapon depends on the baddie I'm killing or the boss, but typically I like to stick with the pistols as much as possible just to save ammo. But other than that, I'd probably pick between the Uzis or the HK. And would it be funny if Lara Croft got slimed? Absolutely. And I'm kind of thinking Boaz. If Lara had been trying to kill Boaz, it would have been pretty funny because it was spewing crap all over the place. And would I pie myself if I get over 3,000 subscribers? Absolutely. And you can keep this video as proof. I will do it. So just remind me if I ever get there, because I think I'm only halfway right now. Next question is from Salha1998. The advantages and disadvantages of old Tomb Raider, including Angel of Darkness, for gaming quality control. Out of all the official Tomb Raider books, which one is your favorite? Why? Also give opinion on the others. So I've made a little table. I'm going to put it on the screen. For advantages, I would say harder gameplay. We seem to be in the era of easy games, so the classics were still in the time where gamers liked to be challenged more. And games tended to be longer, and that also ties in with the more challenging gameplay. We used to be stuck on puzzles for a couple days or even a week, and that doesn't happen anymore. Also, the games were released on more of a frequent basis. And under the disadvantages, the graphics aren't as realistic as they are today, and more game releases always meant not improving on the graphics or engine very much, because if they had a game coming out every year, typically they wouldn't be upgrading the graphics or the engine a whole lot. Out of the Tomb Raider books, my favorite was the official Tomb Raider files. It was really detailed, and I always used it when I was writing stories, and it's a must-have for anybody who is writing. And I really enjoyed the novels as well, the 3 novels that came out. They were really good, they had great stories, but I kind of wondered if the author had really played any of the games. I sort of got that feeling. I was wondering how many he actually played from them. Thanks for your questions. Next up is a video from Jason.
Hey Katie, my question for you is, what are your thoughts on Tomb Raider multiplayer, and would you like one in the next game? I don't really like it all that much. It is kind of fun if you're playing it with a few friends, but overall it's not that great. I have leveled up quite a lot in it. Having said that, I don't find it that fun anymore. It was fun in the first couple of weeks, but not for me anymore. I much prefer the co-op system in Lara Croft and the Guardian of the Light. I think that's much more, it feels much more Tomb Raider rather than just mindless killing in the new multiplayer version. So what are your thoughts? Would you like more co-op in the next game, or just no multiplayer at all?
First of all, I'm sorry that you didn't like the multiplayer very much, and I'm ashamed to say I've never actually tried it. When they first announced that multiplayer was going to be in the next game, I really wasn't interested. For me, Tomb Raider has always been a solo game, and adding in multiplayer just doesn't make sense. It's kind of like everybody's doing multiplayer, so we should too, and it just doesn't work for Tomb Raider. I do play a lot of multiplayer games, and I love them, but for me it just did not fit the game at all, and that's why I never tried it. I do prefer Guardian of Light over multiplayer as an option. Something that has nothing to do with the other games, but it's there as sort of an in-between between the main titles. So I wouldn't mind seeing another one like that, but I really don't want any multiplayer in the next game. The next question is from Lori. How much would you rate all the games as linear out of 10? And also, what tip would you give for making reviews, because I might do some? I'm going to start with the least linear and then work my way down to what I think is the most linear. And I wrote them down because I knew I was going to forget my order. So the least linear I would say is Tomb Raider 3, then Tomb Raider 4, Tomb Raider 2, Tomb Raider 6, Tomb Raider 5, Tomb Raider 1, Reboot, Tomb Raider Underworld, and then Tomb Raider Legend I would say is the most linear. And what tips would I have for making reviews? Just try and figure out how you want to do it. Do you want to do level by level, or sort of a more general overview of the game? Figure out what you want to talk about the most, and then just go from there. And good luck. Send me a link if you make one. Next question is from Simming with Ryan. What are the strengths and weaknesses for core design and crystal dynamics? So again, I've made a little table to make it a little bit easier. The strengths for core design, I would say level design, music and composing, puzzles, and vehicles. And their weakness, I would say not improving graphics regularly. And for crystal dynamics, strengths would be graphics and environments, and weaknesses would be level design, puzzles, and combat. And feel free to add below anything that you think too. Next question is from David. So a Tomb Raider movie is in the works based on the reboot game. If they had chosen Mila Kunis to play as Lara Croft, do you think she would be perfect, Katie? And how much do you know about Miss Kunis? I actually had to look her up because I didn't know who she was, and I see she's not British, so I don't think she would be a great pick for the movie. I think they should definitely get a British actress, and maybe one who's not well known, to play Lara. And the next question is also from David. I noticed you're a Grand Theft Auto fan. So since 5 was released a couple weeks ago, did you buy it? And what did you think of it? Has there been any improvements? And finally, since your surname is Fleming, I'm wondering if you are a James Bond fan. No, I haven't bought it yet because it's not out on PC, but hopefully we won't have to wait too much longer. And I'm not actually a James Bond fan. I've seen all of the movies and I do like them, but I wouldn't say I'm a fan. And next question is from Adam. What did you like the most about Tomb Raider 9, and what was your favorite weapon? I like that this game was a lot more tense in the variety of the environments. I also liked the camera. It was really fluid and the amount of gore was perfect. And my favorite weapon was the rifle. Next question is from Drone Space. What is the funniest moments you've had when playing the Tomb Raider series? Some of you will actually know this answer. The first time I played Tomb Raider 3's Aldwych Station, I was running down the tracks and the subway train came out of nowhere and hit me, and it just scared the crap out of me. I jumped so bad. So that is the funniest one because it got me so good. And next question is from Harry. What is your favorite Nintendo franchise? My favorite Nintendo franchise would be Donkey Kong. Every time I went to my cousin's house, we would play those games and I loved them. And especially the boss bee, I'm remembering, with the stinger that you had to keep hitting. That was a lot of fun. Next question is from Tomb Raider Jake. Hey Katie, do you have any interesting, crazy, or funny high school or any other school stories? In my second year of college, when I was working on my Tomb Raider film for one of my final assignments, I went back to the college late at night to do my filming, and there was this janitor that kept coming in and out of the hallways every so often watching me. So I'm running around, doing cartwheels, shooting at things that don't even exist, and he's giving me these weird looks. I think he thought I was really crazy. And another one was in high school for Halloween. It was my final year, and everybody was going to dress up and go to school, so I dressed up as Lara, and I get there, and nobody in my class is dressed up except for me. So I have to sit there the whole day in a wig, in shorts, fake guns, fake holsters, boots, the whole thing, while everyone looked normal. But you know what? It's more fun to stand out. I like that question. And the next question is from Anna, and she sent in an audio file.
Hi Katie. I really enjoyed the news Tomb Raider, but I kinda didn't like the way Lara turned out. Whoever this girl is, she isn't Lara anymore. I know this is a reboot, but did Crystal Dynamics really change her? They may have removed her boobs a bit, but now she's got big white eyes, rosy cheeks and sensual lips and has underwent another facelifting as always. I personally would have loved to play an older Lara instead of a younger one. I'd like to play a reboot of Tomb Raider that is more close to her original character. I really miss the old sarcastic, ironic and funny Lara that totally kicked some serious ass. Being older or grown up doesn't mean that you are fearless at all. I think this would have been truly a big challenge to put Lara this way and to tell a more grown-up story rather than putting her character in the screaming college girl way. Well, I think that Angel of Darkness was a really good way to start in that direction. To me, it's still the best story we've had in a Tomb Raider game so far, and I think Crystal Dynamics really should pick up some of that. I know they tried to let her look tough and emotional in earlier Crystal Dynamics games, but I don't think that they really did it that well. Well, I think it would have been interesting to see how a tough, high-experienced Lara handles emotional situations on a higher level. Now, what do you think about Lara's new reboot and her development during the story? She may have changed from whiny girl to tough girl in this part, but what will she be in the next one? Do you think her character development is good, or will she stay the whiny girl she ever was since Crystal Dynamics took over? Did they really change or reinvent her? Love your videos, keep them up. Greetings from Germany, Anne. And I'm really sorry that it took me so long to get to the point.
Thank you for sending in your question, and I appreciate the time that you spent putting your question together. I actually have done up a bunch of points, so I'm going to put them on the screen. My biggest concern is what value is added to this series by rebooting it, and what does it really change? If she's going to end up being fearless and tough, does it matter how she got there? And does it matter enough to reboot the beginning story when she's going to end up being the same person anyway? Another thing is the progression in the game isn't very believable. She starts off by saying, "I don't want to be a murderer," but then 2 seconds later we're blasting the crap out of everyone for the rest of the game. So there really is no transition between "I don't want to kill anybody" and actually killing everybody. I don't think the reboot was necessary. Her story was never the problem. The problems, I think, were the linear gameplay, the lack of puzzles and exploration, which of course are part of the key elements of what makes a great Tomb Raider game. And in the next game, if she's tough, adventurous, and witty, like the Lara that we miss, that's great, but it still won't be a real Tomb Raider game unless the key elements are brought back. It's hard to know if they've changed or reinvented her until we've played the next game to see where she is now. I didn't care about her backstory with the reboot. All I care about is who she's going to be now and what the next games are going to play like. So for me, the gameplay is far more important than the backstory for her. I really appreciate the thought that you put into your question, and please post below, and that goes for everybody. Any thoughts that you have, please post below the video. And that's actually all the time I have for today to answer questions, so I'm going to have to come back to answer the rest. But luckily for you, you only have to wait a couple seconds. Alrighty, I'm going to finish answering up the rest of the questions now, and the next one is from Tomb Raiding Avatar 101. Did you finish the new Tomb Raider game yet? Yes, I did, and it took me about a couple weeks to finish because I took screenshots the whole time. I have over 900 on my site, so check those out if you're interested. And I also have a full review posted on my forums. The link is under the video. Next question is from Venin22 or Venin22. What did you think of the Tomb Raider Ascension artwork and trailer? Would you rather have that over the final product, Tomb Raider 2013? I think all the concept art looked really great. I wasn't a big fan of the horse though, but I definitely loved the monsters and the creepy atmosphere that was portrayed through the artwork that was released. Some of it kind of reminded me of Silent Hill and a little bit from Old Mill in Tomb Raider 5, which I really liked. It came across as having more action, adventure, and horror than 2013, so I did prefer that concept over the reboot idea, and I was sad when they didn't end up going with it. Next question is from Scruff1996. Which game do you think had the strongest storyline? Which game do you think had the most interesting characters? I think the best storyline was Angel of Darkness. It was dark, gripping, mysterious, and I loved that we were fearful for Lara because she was being hunted by the police and everyone. It was really complex, and still today people want to know what happened, and that tells you just how great of a storyline it was. And as far as my most interesting characters, I think Sophia Lee from Tomb Raider 3 with all of her experiments, or Zip from Chronicles, I loved him. And even Von Croy, he made an appearance in a lot of the games, and it was nice to see the backstory with him and Lara and how she got started, and then of course when he decided to leave her in the tomb, so I think he was really interesting. Next question is from Anthony Jr. Spears. What did you think of Tomb Raider: The Angel of Darkness? So like I just said, I think it had an incredible story, the score was amazing, the graphics were awesome, they were a really great upgrade from Tomb Raider 5, and all the different locations were really fun, the level design was amazing, and I liked how they introduced Curtis as a new playable character. That was new for the series, and I think it worked really well. I never thought that we didn't play as Lara enough, so it was a good balance between the two. And overall, I just love this game. It's fantastic, and I'm definitely looking forward to reviewing it. Next question is from Brad, and he sent in a video.
Hey Katie, it's good to see you make another Ask Katie. All of us here on YouTube love your videos, and we're glad to see that you have resurfaced. So my first question is a very interesting one. If you were the writer for the next two parts of the Angel of Darkness trilogy, what would the storyline be? Would Lara find Curtis? Would they get together? What crazy artifact is Lara looking for? Stuff like that. Just a Cliff's Notes would be good. I'm really interested to see what you have to say about that. Second question is, what are some subtle changes you would make to the Tomb Raider reboot? Things like movements, outfits, environments, objects, maybe even hairstyle? I thought the game was amazing but lacked a bit of that Tomb Raider feeling, and I really want to see your thoughts on what would make the game better.
So like I said in another answer, I would want to read all the research notes and the story before even attempting to think of what would happen next. I do think Curtis would have been in the next game and should have been in the next game. I don't think they ever would have gotten together though, just because Core Design always wanted her to remain single. And to answer your other question about subtle changes, I've made a little table. So first of all, I would turn off all the automated stuff. I don't like Lara crouching for us when there's baddies around. It forces the player to be stealthy. I want to be given the choice if we want to crouch and creep in slowly or just go in and shoot the crap out of everybody. I also don't like how the weapons were automatically drawn when a baddie was nearby. It alerts the player and it ruins any surprise attacks. It's just too automated. Another thing would be less ammo. There was never any fear of running out like in the classics. It was just absolutely everywhere. So get rid of like 90% of the ammo pickups. Also during combat, the camera seems to go into a first-person shooter mode, and I didn't like that. It's a third-person game, so ideally I would like to keep the camera third-person. You asked about her hairstyle and outfits, and I think they were great. I have no problem with those. But to be honest, I don't really put much weight on what she's wearing. I care more about how the game plays. And this is me probably just being picky, but when I was taking screenshots, I found the environments to be really dark, and I had to do a lot of editing after to brighten them up. And the environments were very linear, I found, except for the beach area. So those would be my subtle changes that I would like to make. Next question is from Barry Flap. Do you have a favorite actress to play Lara in the new Tomb Raider film? I really don't know, and like I mentioned before, I would want her to be British and maybe one that's not well known, and I'm still rooting for an animated movie too. Next question is from Tom. Hi Katie, what are your top 10 bosses? Also, what is your opinion on the new Tomb Raider 2013? I think it's good. Okay, these are in no particular order, but the top 10 that came to mind were Boaz from Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness, Sophia Lee from Tomb Raider 3, the gigantic legless mutant from Tomb Raider 1, the mechanical head that shoots rays from Tomb Raider 5, the dragon in Tomb Raider 2, Eckhart in Angel of Darkness, Willard from Tomb Raider 3, the octopus from Underworld, the T-Rex from Tomb Raider 1, and Amanda from Legend. And as far as Tomb Raider 13, like I've mentioned, I think it was a fun game. It had lots of action, great graphics, but still linear and kind of disappointing as a Tomb Raider game because it missed the key elements. Next question is from April. Are you looking forward to the new Tomb Raider comic books? Are you going to host a new contest, and can you participate from Europe? I'm not actually a comic book fan, so for me I'll be skipping out on those. And I don't have any contests planned right now, but when I do, they're always open worldwide. So just make sure to follow me on Twitter and check my site, because you never know when I'll have another one open. Next question is from Kyle. How do you make your Tomb Raider review videos? Is it a tool you use? Is it professional editing? I'm really glad you asked this question, and I've always wanted to share sort of how I make it. There's about 7 main steps that I go through, and I just want to show you some of them. First is getting all the game footage, so I have to play through the game, recording game footage with fraps, and then depending on how long the game is, this can take easily a few weeks to maybe a month, but I do try and spread it out a little bit. Then, as I'm playing through the game, I make game notes. So I write down things that I want to talk about and just general notes about the level. And it's quite normal to have about 10 pages of notes when I'm finished. Third step is writing the script. So I sit down and write the script using the notes that I took, and they're usually 10 or more pages. Then I have to record my voiceovers and edit them. So I use Audacity to do this. Then I edit the game footage to match my voiceovers. So at this point I hop into Premiere Pro to import all of my game footage and voiceovers and anything else I need. And then I edit the footage to match the voiceovers as closely as possible. Then I add background music and then do any Photoshop work if needed. And then the sixth step is recording the intro and end. So when you see me on camera introducing the video, and then at the end of it I do that next. Import that into Premiere, edit it, and then finally render and post the video. So in total I use Fraps, Audacity, Premiere Pro, and Photoshop. Next question is from Jonathan. What is your most memorable experience while playing any Tomb Raider game in the series as a child? It's hard to pick one because every time I played a new level, a new Tomb Raider game, there were always so many memories. But I would say maybe the first time I ever played Tomb Raider would be the most memorable experience because it wasn't like any other game I had been playing at the time. So for me, it sticks out watching the opening movie and just being completely drawn into it immediately. And just starting the level, seeing first person, running around, having that freedom to explore. For me, that is the most memorable. Next question is from Dodd. When it comes to the storylines of the Tomb Raider games, what do you prefer? A strongly focused, linear journey of Lara to find a lost artifact, example Tomb Raider 2, AOD, Crystal's games, or a very episodic, interchangeable kind of story like Tomb Raider 3 and Tomb Raider Chronicles? This is a great question, and I actually like a mix of both. I don't think every Tomb Raider game necessarily has to have a complex and huge story. And like I've always said, my top two games are Tomb Raider 3 and Tomb Raider 5, and that falls under both examples for you. So for me, it is really a mix of the two. Next question is from Nofel. Greetings from Morocco. I just wanted to know what levels or areas in the Tomb Raider series have scared you the most. My top two would be Floating Islands in Tomb Raider 2, and the Sanitarium and Maximum Containment Area in Tomb Raider 6. So this kind of ties in from an earlier question, and I'm going to go with the Old Mill from Chronicles again. It was really creepy, it was dark, there were weird creatures all over the place, we didn't have any weapons, so you were very vulnerable, and overall that was just such a creepy level, and the changelings, little white dudes running around trying to bite you, were really creepy. So either that level or even the India levels in Tomb Raider 3, there seemed to be a lot of creatures and baddies that would just jump at you all of a sudden, and that would be really scary. Or moving spike walls and falling boulders, rolling boulders that you weren't expecting, so it startled me a lot of the time. Next question is from David. Do you still play the Tomb Raider games after you have completed them? To be honest, kind of rarely. I like to wait a couple of years between replaying them, just so it feels more fresh when I'm playing. And also when I'm doing my game reviews, I end up replaying them there as well. Next question is from Kinda Forgot, and these are the last 4 questions. Do you ever plan on doing a video about the glitches in the games? Do you like or dislike the amount of water levels in Tomb Raider 2? I know Tomb Raider 3 is your favorite in the series, but were you disappointed with the final boss? What is your all-time favorite location that Lara visits in the whole series? I don't know if I'll be doing a glitch video or not, but I've definitely added it to my suggestion list, so I'll let you know if I plan on doing one. And I did like the amount of water levels in Tomb Raider 2. I think I would have preferred to be in the water a little bit more, but I still think it was a good balance of being in the boat and in the water. And for Tomb Raider 3's final boss, I wasn't disappointed. The first time I played the game and I get to the final boss, it wasn't completely obvious how you had to beat him, so it was still challenging. Obviously when you replay a game and you know how to beat it, it becomes easy. But for the first time through, I wasn't disappointed. And your last question, my favorite location in the entire series, I would say would have to be Egypt. Just because it felt like we were going there for the first time, we were the first ones to explore. I love the traps, the tombs, the sculptures, the paintings, all the items around. It was really amazing, and every new area was really exciting to explore. Okay, those are all of the questions. Thank you so much for sending them in, and especially to those who have sent them in for all of my Ask Katie videos so far. I really appreciate it. Feel free to add to anything I've said, ask me more questions below, and we'll continue chatting there. I also want to give a quick shout out to Ryan Flint. I've owed you one for a little while. As always, please subscribe if you haven't, follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you guys in my next video.